Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Florida.
In Miami, the Marlins finish off this long homestand with a three-gamer that starts tonight. The Astros are here. The Marlins getting a win yesterday in come-from-behind fashion. Everybody feeling good about that. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollinsworth. A big sigh of relief for the Marlins getting the win yesterday. Tyler Moore with that three-run homer, certainly a big one. However, in walks the best team in baseball record-wise and maybe talent-wise, the Houston Astros.
Well, the Houston Astros are one of the best teams in baseball. Nobody's going to dispute that, but they're a tired group. Now, they played last night. Remember, they were in New York. Derek Jeter Day, retiring his number, big ceremony, late ball game. In fact, doubleheader yesterday. They didn't get into Miami till 5 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully that plays to the Marlins' advantage.
Well, look, this lineup that Houston runs out there is loaded with great young talent. They are a dynamic offensive team. What does that mean for Dan Straily?
Well, he's going to have his hands full, especially at the top of that lineup. Three hottest hitters in the lineup are there, starting with George Springer. Now, what Dan Straily has done so well this year is in a lot of ways get that bad contact. Hitters have not come up with a really good batting average against him. That plays well. If he makes pitches early in counts, maybe he can get some of that bad contact to play with some of these hot Houston Astro hitters.
This is a very good starting rotation as well for Houston, although the Marlins get a guy that has yet to be proven at the big league level. Joe Musgrove, big, tall right-hander.
Yes, he is. Got a great slider to go along with it, 92, 93-mile-an-hour fastball. That's the challenge, but he's been up and down, and you see that first inning ERA. Pay attention early, 10.29 in the first inning, so he's had a rough go of it early in ball games.
Well, it's the Marlins and it's the Astros. This should be a very entertaining series, and it starts tonight. The Marlins are hoping it started yesterday. Can they get on a roll? We'll find out when we return. small sample size, 3 for 5 with a home run against Dickey.
Strategically, I would much be more inclined to go with the velocity in the bullpen because of that history. But I probably could be persuaded.
Tyler Moore, left center field. That ball's deep, and it's gone! He hit it out! And Miami has a 3-1 lead. 0-1. In the air, right field shallow. Stanton is on. Ball game. Happy Mother's Day. Finally a win for the Fish.
It wasn't so hard, was it?
Tell that to AJ's mom, who admits that whenever she watches AJ pitch, especially on Mother's Day, it sends her to tears. Well, those were the emotions yesterday. The Marlins finally got a win in dramatic fashion. The best team in baseball rolls in tonight. Astros, Marlins. Let's head out to center field. Gentlemen.
All right, thank you very much there, Rich, and we appreciate that as we get ready for this ball game against the Houston Astros. You mentioned the great moment. We saw it with Tyler Moore. What did it mean for this ball club to win a game like that? Did you sense, being around the team today, that relief that they've talked about a little bit from the skipper?
Yeah, you know, it's been a tough run. You got 5 losses in a row, and a couple of those I think they thought they should have won. When you get Tyler Moore to come off the bench there and provide all 3 RBIs with 1 swing, get you a win on Mother's Day. You got a nice tidy fashion 2.5-hour game. Get out of here early. I think it's going to be a little springboard into this tough series with the Houston Astros, first place team, best team in baseball as of record right now. So hopefully they get on a run.
Some thoughts from Don Mattingly on this issue as well.
Little bit. I mean, it is because things creep. We talked about that early in the season. You want to get that first hit. You want to get that first win because you don't want things to kind of grow on you. And really, that's what happens in that kind of streak. That's like, it just keeps kind of going. Everybody'd like to end it. And you want to try to stay positive, but it's harder when you're not putting any wins up.
And you heard Don Mattingly even say himself to talk about the same thing every day, to go over almost a broken record of losses every which way. Now, the question is, this is a tough team to play against, and the Marlins know they have to play a great game to try and win this series.
You know what? Sometimes you elevate your game against the best. When the Houston Astros come in here after a good win like that, you never know. Maybe this is the springboard of something good to come.
Yeah, sometimes that's a good thing. You have to play an excellent ball game. No room for error, not much anyway, against the hottest club in baseball. All right, we're ready for the Astros, not the Colt 45s, and the Fish. We'll have it next on Fox Sports Pro.
And the Marlins ready to go on a Monday night here in Miami. First of 3. Night game tomorrow, day game on Wednesday. And of course the Fish would love to follow up yesterday's Mother's Day win with another one here. Dan Straily's numbers, you see the 4.03 ERA. In his last start, he was outstanding. Just a run in 7 innings and had the Marlins in position to beat the Cardinals. A 4-run lead when he left, but the Marlin bullpen wobbled and ended up losing the ball game.
Well, that opponent's batting average to me is something to keep your eyes on. 172 against. This is a hot lineup here with this Houston Astros team.
And here they are: George Springer, Josh Reddick, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Evan Gattis, Yuri Gurriel, Alex Bregman, Norichiki Aoki, and Joe Musgrove in the 9 spot. Southwest brings you the Houston Astros, who are 26-12, and Dan Straily fires a strike, and this ball game is underway. George Springer, Josh Reddick, Jose Altuve. And of course, the Astros playing 2 yesterday. The historic night, Derek Jeter's number retired between games of a doubleheader. The Astros lost the first game 11-6, but in the second game, this guy hit 2 home runs. And the Astros beat the Yankees 10-7. Straily with a slider for a strike, and the count is 1-2.
Springer is really adjusted to leading off. He's quite a run for the Houston Astros as their leadoff hitter. 9 home runs already, 22 RBIs out of the top spot. Does have a .340 on-base percentage, showing a little bit more patience. They are definitely getting what they hoped for out of the top spot in their lineup.
And a swing and a miss, chases a slider, and Straily has had a good one all year long. And so the first out here of the ball game.
Well, you see the grip right there, those 2 fingers tight, kind of wrapped around it. Great slider down in the zone. Look at the head coming off right there. You're hoping that this Astros lineup might get a little over aggressiveness tonight, just because you know they're tired. They really are. And having lived this, having gone through this type of game from the other side, getting in late, coming to the field fast, and getting in, getting right back in the box, usually promotes an aggressiveness. You usually got to get in there and you want to swing the bat and you want to get the game going. Dan Straily can prey on that. He's done it all season long. If you've got a lineup that really wants to swing the bat, he'll make those pitchers pitches.
Josh Reddick, the Astros right fielder, former Oakland Athletic. Reddick takes out. Well, the timeline for the Astros, the doubleheader yesterday, the ceremony that was between games, and that was in New York. Reddick shoots that one to left field. Ozuna's back, and he's there and he makes the catch. And about a 5 a.m. arrival in Miami. Marlins have been there plenty of times, coming and going in different spots. Here's Miami's defense tonight.
Well, that's a great throw by Marcell Ozuna yesterday, and you saw him just make the catch right there. There you go. Gets to start in left field. Why not? Christian Yelich in center field. Giancarlo Stanton in right. Dietrich, Riddle, Gordon, and Bour. JT Realmuto behind the plate, and Straily on the mound.
Jose Altuve tried to bunt. Altuve, who has just had an incredible run in the big leagues. This is his 7th year now. That's amazing in itself. Just turned 27 out of Maracay, Venezuela. Won his 2nd batting title last year. Has started to get more and more power as his career has gone on. 24 homers, 42 doubles last year. And a fastball up and in hits Altuve in the, it looked like maybe it was the left elbow arm.
Forearm area, yeah, up and in.
But it may
tailing in there.
And it may have on the ricochet clipped something else, but we'll see. Altuve down on a fastball that came up and in. He does not wear an arm guard, and so whatever it hit took the full force of that fastball.
Jose Altuve absolutely feeling it right now, no doubt. Got that batting glove off, holding that wrist. Two-seam fastball. You see it. Watch the tailing action on it. Right-handed hitters, this is always a tough pitch, especially when you get that action in. Starts his stride, kind of comes into the plate right there. I'm not saying he dove into the plate. He was just kind of getting his swing moving forward. And then as he gets that foot down, that pitch is just up and in. And he tries to get out of the way. Catches him on the left wrist.
Well, to your point, you're talking about him approaching the pitch. Watch from the overhead angle. Watch his left foot. He's one of those guys that opens stance and then closes it.
Right. Yeah, and that's just it. And you watch what part of his body he just got hit with. That's the closed side right there, that front side, and that helps him stay on the baseball. But in that situation right there, and again, that's why Dan Straily threw him 2 consecutive two-seam fastballs to that part of the plate. He's not going to just throw cookies out over the plate. He really wants to establish the inside corner right there. That one just got away from him.
Let's hope that Altuve is okay. He is one of the more entertaining and dynamic players in the game today. He's at first base, and now you have to deal with Carlos Correa. Correa, the Astros shortstop, just 22. Out of Puerto Rico, and the first overall pick in 2012. Altuve diving back.
Correa has driven in a run in 6 consecutive ball games. That is the longest active streak in the big leagues.
Up and down the lineup, the numbers that the Astros have. I mean, you can look at homers and RBIs, but I go right to on base and slugging with these guys. Everybody has a healthy on base. Everybody has a healthy slugging percentage. Correa, 368 on base, 473 slugging. AJ Hinch doesn't look like a guy that's celebrating a birthday, but he is.
He's tired. got in early this morning.
Hinch, his second run as a major league manager. The first one did not work out well in Arizona. Former Stanford catcher, caught in the big leagues as well.
Straily right back to the slider. Now, particularly the top of this Astros lineup. This is where you find the really hot hitters. Outside of Altuve, the other 3, talking Reddick, Correa, and Springer, all have a combination of a hitting streak going on, good numbers, lots of RBIs, and power over the last handful of games.
Altuve has 9 stolen bases, got 2 outs, and a 1-2 count on Carlos Correa. And he got him. Dan Straily is still missing bats. Astros strand a runner. This ball game is underway, and it's scoreless. Brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Jeep, get great deals on the Jeep lineup at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. By Supercuts, save time. Check in online with our mobile app or at supercuts.com. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Summer is arriving in Miami. It's warm outside. Roof is closed. AC's on, and big Joe Musgrove is on the mound. Musgrove, the 24-year-old out of El Cajon, California.
Well, you see the numbers right there. 5.02 ERA, 37 2/3 innings, 28 strikeouts. He's got good stuff, but he's had issues at the front end of games, particularly that first inning. That's where the ERA is definitely struggling a little bit. 10.29 in the first inning.
D. Gordon in the box. Gordon to be followed by Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna. And a fastball in on his hands, and Gordon floats it out of play. And the count 1-1 strike. Marlins salvaging a game yesterday against the Braves. They dropped 2 of 3 against Atlanta. Gordon in the series an 0 for 11. But back up top of the lineup, Don Mattingly is hopeful that Gordon get on base and jumpstart this offense. And Musgrove misses in.
Well, D, I talked to D during batting practice today. He really felt like his swing was starting to kind of come around, was really working on that bottom hand, pulling it through and shooting the ball to left field, staying inside that baseball.
On base percentage right now at .303, and he's a wide one away from getting to first right now. Line drive right to short, and Correa is there. What type of defensive club do we have here from the American League with these Houston Astros?
Well, this Houston Astro team is a good athletic group, but as far as the defense is concerned, they're good. Not going to go great, but they're good, and that's where they rank, actually. You see tonight, Aoki gets the start in left field, George Springer in center field, Josh Reddick over in right, Bregman, Correa, Jose Altuve at second base, Gurriel over at first base.
Evan Gattis behind the plate.
Evan Gattis behind the plate. Thank you.
This is a former Atlanta Brave catching combination. Brian McCann played the late game last night. Of course, Gattis. Eloso Blanco making a return to Marlins Park. There's a fastball for a strike and a 1-1 count to Christian Yelich.
Houston Astros have quite a bench for tonight's ball game. Brian McCann, Carlos Beltran, maybe their best hitter, Marwin Gonzalez. 9 home runs and 23 RBIs.
There's Brian McCann. Yelich, a 1-for-2 day yesterday with a couple of walks. And he pops that one foul and out of play. Yeah, the Astros are like many American League teams, and it's, as the Marlins have shown and lived, it's much harder to do this in the National League. A.J. Hinch has 4 guys on the bench. A 4-man bench in the National League can be problematic with pitching changes and double switches and pinch hitting. American League, not so much.
That's the way to go. But usually most guys in the American League actually do it.
However, this is not an American League game, and so A.J. Hinch has got a 4-man bench and no designated hitter. Yelich swings and misses. Musgrove, sharp breaking ball there.
It's like almost hard slider slash cutter. That is his fastball. Got a little bit of cutting action on it. 94 miles an hour. Kind of hunts its way inside and gets underneath Christian Yelich's hands.
Here now is Marcell Ozuna. And Ozuna takes a strike.
See Musgrove right now really working to establish that fastball.
Little pop out into shallow right. Altuve's out, and he makes a basket catch. Takes a look at that sore wrist. Scoreless start here in Miami. This season, Half Price Tuesdays return to Marlins Park. Up to 50% off tickets for every Tuesday regular season home game. Marlins.com is the place to go. Of course, tomorrow you've got Astros and Marlins. Astros tomorrow bring out Dallas Keuchel, Cy Young Award winner. Tom Kohler goes for the fish. It's Jose Urena on Wednesday against Lance McCullers Jr. Evan Gattis. Remember when McCann left the Braves, Gattis was the guy they felt was going to take the helm as the everyday catcher. Pitch misses down low. McCann up with the Yankees, and now they are both Houston Astros, and it works out well because Gattis power from the right side, McCann power from the left side, and you've got the designated hitter. So when they're not catching, either one of them can DH.
Well, yes, along with Carlos Beltran. It just kind of creates a little bit of a problem. But to your point, everybody's well rested, no doubt about it. I think a lot of people were wondering what the Houston Astros were going to do. Maybe had too much of a good thing, but so far have been able to make it work out.
Gattis shoots it to the right side. Stanton is over there, and he makes a catch. One out here in the second. Well, the Astros in the offseason lost a few guys. Jason Castro, their catcher, was one of them. Doug Fister, Colby Rasmus, Pat Neshek, the side-arming reliever. And the addition of Beltran, the addition of McCann, and of course Yuri Gurriel, who got into 36 games last year, his first full season. The veteran out of Cuba, 32 years old. And Gurriel swings and misses.
Mix in a Josh Reddick as well. I mean, they've kind of changed their look, and they went out and targeted key individuals, guys that, you think of Reddick, you think on base percentage. With Carlos Beltran, you think power from both sides of the plate and on base percentage. So I think there were key ingredients for the guys that they were able to acquire, and then fitting it into the formula that they already had in play. I mean, they love Altuve. Who doesn't? I mean, they love Correa, Springer. I mean, people would have been picking the Houston Astros a lot this year, even without their acquisitions. I think it only made them that much better.
Gurriel into left field, Riddle out, Ozuna in, and Ozuna makes the catch. And so far, Dan Straily looks like he's keeping the Astros off balance at the plate.
Oh, most definitely. You're seeing a lot of Astro hitters out on their front foot and fooled. That's why you're seeing these pop-ups: F7, F9, F7. So got a couple strikeouts to go along with it. So Dan Straily locked in once again, making good quality pitches to this tough Astros lineup.
Alex Bregman now. Bregman, one of the many Astros, heck, many major leaguers who grew up with Derek Jeter as their hero, and so for him to be there yesterday and get to watch everything, he wears number 2 because of that. And it's that generation, he's 23, is the sweet spot for Jeter, because certainly when that generation was 6, 7, 8 years old and just becoming aware of Major League Baseball, Jeter was just rolling in World Series success. That one fouled back and out of play.
Yeah, really getting into his prime. That would put him at put Bregman at about what, 10, 11 years old when Derek Jeter was in his early 30s.
Well, the Astros were really, really bad for about a 3-year stretch. That's the bad news. The good news is they hit on all of their top picks. Bregman, one of them, 2nd overall. Correa, the 1st overall. Even when they had George Springer in 2011, he was the 11th overall. That's a pretty good track record of that 1st-round pick. Real Muto out, fires to first in time, and Bregman is out. Straily looks strong. Miami and Houston are scoreless. And Astros. Auto Nation proudly presents a scouting report of Joe Musgrove.
All right, here we go. Memorable debut. How about it? Actually came out of the bullpen last year. Lance McCullers was struggling with an injury. Ended up coming out because of an injury. Goes 4 1/3 innings and strikes out 8. Absolutely awesome, dynamite stuff. Tied a major league record, set an Astros record in that memorable debut. Now, fastball plus slider. You've already seen it. Very good. That slider's very horizontal. Call it a sweepy slider, if you will. 94, 95 on the fastball, and cafe inspired. Mom and Dad own a cafe in San Diego. He grew up in it. He was drinking coffee at 7 or 8 years old. I found that so interesting because when I was a kid, I was always told, don't drink the coffee. You're not allowed to drink the coffee. Number one, it's an adult drink, and it'll stunt your growth. Well, not this guy, Joe Musgrove. He's 6'5". No issues whatsoever.
6'5", 250. Breaking ball. Misses outside. Justin Bour, Giancarlo Stanton, JT Realmuto. Bour, terrific weekend for sure, even though he was 0 for 4 yesterday. Bour homered on Saturday and Friday as well. He had a run of 3 consecutive games with home runs. They count 2-2 here. Don Mattingly promoted him to the cleanup spot, moved Stanton behind him. And that fastball from Musgrove against the left-handed bats really cuts in.
I think he adds and subtracts to that slider. He gets similar movement on that fastball, but you almost have to watch the velocity with Musgrove. He gets around both of those pitches. Now the slider sweeps an awful lot, very horizontal, in on the lefties. When you see the 94, 95, that's got to be his fastball. He doesn't throw a slider nearly as hard.
Musgrove originally a late first round pick of the Blue Jays out of high school in El Cajon. Breaking ball lined in the gap. That's a base hit. It's going to the wall, and Justin Bour rumbles into second with a double. It is starting to come. Remember the miserable start that Bour had in April. And now he's driving the ball with much more consistency.
Well, much more consistency and all over the place. Remember, this is a 2-strike pitch right here, everybody, and he has been showing pull power lately. This is staying on a changeup. A lot of times when you're going good, you'll want to roll that over because you're getting that barrel out early. Not Justin Bour. He stays through it, elevates it, gets it up in the air, and drives it. One hops it off the wall. This inning started with a double.
Astros shift against Stanton. Giancarlo takes a strike. Astros a very proactive defensive shifting team, one of the industry leaders in that practice. Altuve still on the first base side, a second, but barely. And Stanton fouls it back. The count's 0-2. Giancarlo spent a long time today in batting practice just shooting balls to right center and to right field.
Remember yesterday he did that against R.A. Dickey once. It was a really nice approach after actually in at bat approach. First pitch of the sequence, which was a knuckleball. Head came flying off, pulled off, front shoulder was gone. Made an in at bat adjustment. Got another knuckleball, I think it was 2 pitches later, and drove it to right center field.
Check swing. I think he went. He did. Chris Siegel, the first base umpire, says swing. And Musgrove gets a strikeout, his second of the ball game.
You're getting a look at that nasty slider that I've been talking about, and see how much it sweeps across the strike zone. Giancarlo Stanton tries to hold up right there. You know, it's so interesting, especially this first time through the lineup. You know, we've talked about the Astros being fatigued, Rich. There's not a lot of knowledge between these two teams either. You know, the Houston Astros don't have a lot of history against Dan Straily, even though he's a former Astro. Joe Musgrove's got nothing against the Marlins other than, you know, video and scouting reports to go off of for these Marlins hitters. So they're seeing him, all of them, release point, arm angle.
Realmuto drives it left center. Aoki in, and he makes a running catch. Nori Aoki, major league veteran and a good outfielder, runs it down, and Musgrove's got his second out. Here's Derek Dietrich. Dietrich was up at the top of the lineup for a while when Don Mattingly had D. Gordon down in the lineup and had him in the 9 spot. Dietrich was leading off, and one of the biggest reasons, his ability to get on base. He's at a 376 on base clip, which is appropriate to use that word, because a lot of that getting on base is balls that clip him in the arm or the leg or the knee or the foot.
Some guys just, I mean, it's amazing. If I got hit 2 times in a week, there's a good chance by the second time I'm feeling it to the point where I'm not sure I'm even still in the game. I mean, he gets hit all the time. He just runs down to first base like it's nothing.
Remember, that's Justin Bour out at second. Outfield's not real deep for Dietrich. And he fouls that pitch at the plate. The count's 1-2. And you can see George Springer out in center is way over into left center field. And look how far off the line in right is Josh Reddick.
Yeah, they're playing him to pull on the infield and the other way in the outfield.
We see that more and more with right fielders. The Marlins have done that, especially in this ballpark and in San Francisco, and that is take away the gap in right center, take away the triple, and anything down the line, they'll give you the double.
Well, and that's a smart way to play it. But you also have to remember, when you see overshifting like this, I've stated this before, it's not just entirely about the hitter and the tendencies of the hitter. It's also understanding who you have on the mound. Musgrove tonight for the Houston Astros, his pitch selection and the ability to execute the pitches.
Missed out there, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
We got a pretty good show yesterday of, and I just comes to mind, Freddie Freeman. As the Marlins were overshifting him heavy, I mean, like almost like a tennis player's backhand through the vacated shortstop hole yesterday, and that's what hitters are doing today.
Well, Musgrove picking at that outside corner. That's now 3-2. JT Riddle is on deck. Musgrove beat Atlanta his last time out, 6 innings, 2 runs. Got him. Change up, and Dietrich swung right over it. Dan Straily, all 6 outs.
Do some quick analysis here. Slider. 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 You listening at home? Are you playing along with slider? Dan Straily has one of the best sliders in the business. He's been using it tonight, and you see this contact. This is all bad contact. Watch the hitters where they are. Look at their feet. See how their bodies are way over their front side? They are fooled by that pitch, and they're changing their body swing in order to get the barrel or attempt to get the barrel or the bat on the ball at all. It's called bad contact.
Aoki in the 8th spot. Joe Musgrove and then George Springer.
We just showed you that Dan Straily slider. Now coming into tonight's ball game, and obviously this number has gone down, but it was good at the beginning of the ball game. Against that slider, hitters were hitting 176.
He misses up, and it's 3-1. To Hopper for D. Gordon. On to first and on to Craig Minervini.
Hey guys, The Ultimate Fighter, believe it or not, is in season 25 Wednesday nights on FS1, and Haider Hassan is a local guy who's back at it. He was in season 21. He'll be fighting on Wednesday night from Fort Lauderdale. Went to Cardinal Gibbons, and you're back. Season 25. Why'd you come back?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, season 25, it's called Redemption, and that's exactly what it is. You know, you've got 14 fighters that have all been there. Some are UFC vets. They've either won their season before. So it's the creme de la creme, and anytime you get an opportunity to go out there and fight for what you're passionate about, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm trying to get that. I'm trying to get my spot in the finals, and it starts this Wednesday, Fox Sports 1, 10 p.m.
Haider was in season 21. He won his first 3 fights, lost in the finale. As you can tell, articulate guy, graduated from Florida State, and was in pharmaceutical sales. Why did you get into MMA to begin with?
You know, after I finished school, I was in healthcare, but you have to do what you're passionate about. And my brother finished up school over at Georgetown. He played football for him, and he actually got me into the sport. And after my first training session, just kind of reignited the passions of competition. You know, that's why I love fighting. It's the ultimate competition, ultimate chess match. And you know, I had my first training session. 9 months later, I had my first pro fight. Knocked the guy out in 9 seconds, and the rest is history.
Intoxicating. Now, you'll be fighting your friend on Wednesday night.
Absolutely.
How is that?
So the fight game, it's a brutal game. You know, fighting is the only thing you don't play. You play baseball, you play basketball, you play football. You don't play fighting. You know, and that's it's one of the things which is very interesting about the dynamics of MMA. You fight your teammates, your brothers, and it's a small fraternity. So it's just one of those things that it comes with the business. It's the hurt business, unfortunately. So you have to go out there and inflict and do what you do best. So it's going to be, but definitely fighting one of my best friends this Wednesday night. It definitely adds some interesting, some drama to the season, and you know, let the best man win.
Hey, good luck getting through it again, and I hope you get to the finale and have a positive outcome there for you.
I appreciate it, man. It's been an awesome time to be here. First time at the Marlins Park, and yeah, it's beautiful.
A good sports fan too. Haider Hassan again fighting on FS1 on Wednesday night, guys. The Ultimate Fighter back.
All right, and you know another thing, you don't play announcer either. It's brutal up here. Scoreless ball game, Astros and Marlins. the Astros and the Marlins, and it starts at 6:30. Tom Kohler throws out the first pitch. Josh Reddick will be jumping up and down and ready to go. Jose Altuve will be motoring around Marlins Park. El Oso Blanco. Just a cavalcade of stars, led by Dallas Keuchel, Cy Young Award winner. He gets the start. Scoreless here. JT Riddle, Dan Straily, D. Gordon. And for Joe Musgrove, who's thrown well tonight, he struck out 3, giving up a double to Justin Bour. He gets a little taste of the National League here. He gets to face 8-9-1 with the pitcher in that 9 spot. Diving try. Aoki can't get it. And Riddle hustling towards second, and he is out. Called out. A sweet tag by Altuve. That one may be replayed. Altuve took a swipe at Riddle, whose hand, let's watch the hand. Oh, I think he may have got the glove, the batting glove, on his way in.
Yeah, watch that index finger right there, right across the top of the hand, I think just before he gets to second base. Riddle being aggressive, trying to get himself into scoring position. Out by an eyelash.
So Aoki, a nice recovery, and Riddle gets a single and is out on the tag by Altuve. And here is Straily. And Musgrove pumps in a fastball for a strike at 94 miles an hour. Dan Straily last year with the Reds got a lot of at-bats.
It's not a lot of hits.
He comes in at 1 for 64 in his major league career. He has a couple of RBIs. A swing and a miss there, and it's 1-2. No swing.
Two and 2 to Dan Straily. Tries to defend himself against that slider. Fastball maybe he can handle.
It missed. It's home plate umpire Jim Wolf, whose brother Randy, and major league pitcher at one time. (3-2), and that is right down the middle. Flash offer Mondays, a hump day, 50% off all Wednesday games on select tickets. Use your code HUMPDAY. Marlins.com/flash offer. And you have Giancarlo in Egypt. How about that? Very nice. D. Gordon takes a fastball for a strike.
Musgrove continues to pump in fastballs, working ahead and using that slider to disrupt the timing of Marlins hitters.
Breaking ball misses out to Gordon. D line to short. Miami has a couple hits. The Bour doubled. Riddle gets a single. And that's going to shoot into left field, a base hit for Gordon. And with 2 outs, certainly he'll have designs on second base. With Yelich coming to the plate.
Well, most definitely, this is the work. I had mentioned it to you his first time up right before he lined out to short. The work that D. Gordon has been doing, really concentrating on staying inside the baseball. You see that bottom hand, pull the knob down and through the baseball, shooting it to left field, rolling it through that left side. That's what he wants to do. That was very deliberate right there.
Musgrove is not easy to run against. This is start number 18 in the big leagues. And he's given up one stolen base. And that was this year. 1 for 2 are base stealers this season. Quick to the plate with a fastball for a strike. You can see right away why he's tough to run against.
A good athlete, quick to the plate, and getting ahead with strikes. Most of these Marlins hitters.
Gaddis has thrown out 2 of 12. That is 17%. League average is about 27, 28%. Yelich fouls it off his foot. Not sure what was up with D. Gordon, who was standing on first base when Musgrove delivered to the plate.
Well, Christian Yelich has got 2 strikes on him now. He's going to have to defend the strike zone.
One and 2. Yelich is on base and slugging, gradually coming up. 342 on base, 417 slug. And D. Gordon is picked off. So Gordon picked off, and the Marlins get 2 hits in the inning and leave nobody on base. They have 2 men thrown out on the bases here in the 3rd. And that, my friends, is why Joe Musgrove is tough to run against. Marlins, it's the 4th. If you can't catch the games on television, you can stream them on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Just download the app, take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball with you wherever you go. Here tonight, Dan Straily is facing his former team. It's a, for Straley's major league career, starting in Oakland and ending up with the Astros. In 15 as an Astro. He spent most of that year in AAA. He did get up for a little bit of time with the Astros. That one in the air to left. Ozuna is there, and he makes the catch. But it was his time with the Astros that helped change and shape his career, and that was Brent Strom, the pitching coach for the Astros, knew some people up in Seattle.
Yeah.
The Driveline folks, and we've told you the story about Straily, who's a Northwest guy, grew up in Oregon, going up to Seattle between the 15 and the 16 season. The biomechanic work that they do, all the cool stuff that they do with weighted balls and all of that, streamlined his delivery and really changed his approach to pitching. And of course, last year he had the breakout year with the Reds. He was 14-8 with a 3.76 ERA, and he's been able to carry that through this year. So even though he was in the minor leagues some as an Astro, his time in Houston has paid off.
Well, there's some intent, some purpose, right? And a lot of times that happens to players throughout their career. And times the organization doesn't get to reap the rewards. Marlins reaping those rewards right now. Dan Straily has been pitching very, very well of late, certainly. Off to a good start this year. Cincinnati Reds benefited from that as well.
Altuve, remember, hit on the wrist with a pitch, his first at bat. Gordon calls Bour off and makes the catch. And Straily continues to get outs here against a Houston lineup that is either leading or is second in just about every category you want to lead in the American League. They are first in batting average, second in runs, second in on base, second in slugging percentage. It is a thick lineup from 1 through 9. Well, when they're playing in their American League environment. There's Correa, and there's that slider. He chases it.
I thought there was a good combination coming into tonight's ball game with Dan Straily, that slider that we've talked about, and hitters struggling against Dan Straily all season long. I mean, that's just it. I mean, give credit where credit is due. Batting average against is ridiculous coming into tonight's ball game. 172. Hitters weren't having success against Dan Straily. Then you factor in this Houston Astro team is probably a little bit tired. Here's another thing. They don't strike out an awful lot, and they love to attack early in the count. That just plays right into Dan Straily's hands when he's on his game. And so far tonight, he's been on his game.
He's 1-2 on Correa. 2 years removed from the Rookie of the Year award. Stanton towards the line is there and makes the catch. Dan Straily, 4 real nice innings. Everybody's still looking for a run. Marlins baseball, Fox Sports Florida. It's brought to you by Jeep. Get great deals on the Jeep lineup at the Jeep Spring Clearance events. By Kaiser University, learn more at kaiseruniversity.edu, and by your South Florida Chevy dealers. Night falling in Miami, Marlins Park. Astros and Marlins. First of a 3-gamer. Christian Yelich was at the plate when D. Gordon was picked off. Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, and Justin Bour against Joe Musgrove of the Astros in a scoreless ball game. Miami, in a dramatic fashion, finally got a win after a real frustrating run. Beat the Braves yesterday 3-1. While the Astros were splitting with the Yankees around the Derek Jeter ceremony. 10-7 win last night. Alex Bregman had the grand slam. Yankees a comeback win 11-6. And Yelich, a scorcher up the middle. Musgrove has it, flips on over to first. And there's an out.
Well, still a long day for the Houston Astros, and there's another advantage here. Now, obviously, Musgrove has done a fantastic job of being being very efficient. I mean, here we are in the 4th inning. He's at 49 pitches, but the point is this. Houston Astros on a doubleheader day plowed through their bullpen. A lot of guys had a lot of work. You've got 4 guys that pitched over 20 pitches yesterday. 7 guys in all pitched. So a long, lengthy start is a goal of the Houston Astros tonight from Musgrove.
Here is Ozuna. Marcel popped out back in the 1st. Now, whenever a team has a night like last night and they know they're going to get in the wee hours of the morning, and the Astros got here at 5 a.m., they will fly the pitcher ahead. Ozuna busts his bat and dumps one into right field for a hit, and it kicks away from Reddick and then picks it up. Ozuna's got a hit. And a little bit of everything going in every other direction.
You see it right here. This is the fastball out over the plate, right off the end of the bat. You see the barrel go flying, shards go flying behind Ozuna. He actually follows the barrel a little bit right there. Able to get just enough of it, get it out of the infield and in front of Josh Reddick out in right field. As we say, it went down a winner.
Here is Bour now. Bour doubled on a 2-strike changeup into left center field. And he takes out. And it's 1-0.
Well, these are the instances where the Marlins have to do a better job than what we've seen from the most part this homestand of finding ways to manufacture runs. Let's be honest. All 8 runs in the Atlanta series came as a byproduct of a home run. And in fact, the Marlins are one of the, I don't want to dare use the word worst, but they're just not very good at it. Most of their run scoring lately, in particular, 56% of it has come from the long ball. And that ranks in the lower 5 of baseball.
Bour into right field. That's a hit. Reddick picks it up. Toyota brings you an inside look. Highest percentage of runs via homers at home. Marlins and Yankees atop the list. Marlins will see Oakland on the next road trip. And of course, the one interesting thing there is you got the Marlins and everybody else in the American League. Bour is 2 for 2. And here's Stanton now. Musgrove getting a visit from Evan Gattis. Long talk, and the home plate umpire Jim Wolf is out to break him up. And Musgrove, in knowing that the Astros were going to get in at 5 in the morning, was set to fly down to Miami ahead of the team, but he requested and was granted that request after the Jeter ceremony. So after game 1, after the Jeter ceremony, jump in a cab or an Uber and head to the airport. And he arrived down here at a more humane hour than his teammates. Stanton, a strikeout victim in the 2nd. Ozuna and Bour out on base, and Stanton swings and misses. It's a ball and a strike.
It's a 2-seam fastball down in the zone. Musgrove really trying to set up that slider again.
Comes in with a fastball. And you can see the game that pitchers are playing with Stanton, who's done a better job of going to right field. Is when he thinks right field, they'll bust him in. See what he gets, 1 and 2. There's the slider away, and Stanton swings and misses.
Watch right there, Musgrove staying inside with the fastball, working to setting up that slider away. In a lot of ways, what you see from Dan Straily, you see it right there. Gets it down in the zone. He's not looking for contact right there. That is a pitch he wants in the dirt. He wants to see Giancarlo Stanton swing over the top of it like he did right there. He was going for the strikeout.
And so Real Muto flied to left with 2 outs here. And that breaking ball misses in. See a .301 average. And that's fouled at the plate. Real Muto, a guy that has been in the leadoff spot as well. It's either been a D. Gordon, a JT Real Muto, or Derek Dietrich. They were looking for a C word apparently for Carlos Correa in Miami.
Competes.
Congregates. Casually comes calling.
I think all you have to say is Carlos Correa and we'll come calling. Who doesn't want to see him play? Great young players in the American League and all of baseball.
Real Muto behind the count, 1-2. Musgrove is a big guy on the mound. 6'5", about 250, and Todd's story of his parents with a cafe. He's actually an accomplished barista.
Yes, he is.
And that myth that you thought that coffee stunts your growth. He was an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman at Grossmont High School, a good high school down in the San Diego area, and was committed to go to San Diego State, which is an outstanding football program, and has put offensive linemen in the NFL. 2-2. This is down low.
JT doing a fantastic job laying off that slider. That's what Musgrove wants to do. He wants him to chase, go after it. It's either bad contact or a strikeout. JT doing a fantastic job laying off of it.
And
see where Musgrove goes right here.
Yeah, this will be a head start here with Ozuna at second and Bour at first. And he lost him. Patient at bat by Real Muto. Bags are loaded here. And it's Derek Dietrich. Now you can throw up all the heat maps and shifts and all of that, but one thing to think about here, and we've seen it from Musgrove, the fastball that he throws naturally cuts into left-handed bats, and he's thrown inside with effectiveness to those lefty bats. And of course Dietrich gives no quarter to anything that comes close.
Well, the pattern against the lefties tonight really has been to try to get ahead with a quick fastball away and then really start to work the inside corner on the lefties.
Dietrich struck out on a changeup back in the second. Bags loaded. There's that cutting action, and it ends up on the inside part for a strike. And there's the shift against Dietrich. Outfield towards left center. And the infield swung around towards right.
It's right back to that changeup again. Dietrich's going to have to find a way to battle him with 2 strikes right here. You see his average with runners in scoring position is solid .375.
3 for 3 with the bags loaded this year, but behind the count 0-2. Musgrove has already struck out 5. Came in. We'll see if that sets up soft and away.
Well, as a hitter right now, you're down 2 strikes. You're looking to defend the strike zone. Anything close, try to foul it off. Hope that Joe Musgrove makes a mistake. You get something you can handle. Just to go up in the zone.
Dietrich fights it off. Miami, without a run, they have 5 hits. The Astros without a run. Houston does not have a hit. Oh, 2. Dietrich, little roller, wide of first. Gurriel flips, and Musgrove gets there in time. And that prevents a run and ends the inning. And Musgrove still dealing a shutout here in Miami. Scoreless ball game. Right back at it. Astros and Fish. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine will set it up. A Dallas Keuchel, Tom Kohler matchup. Emails and tweets tomorrow night as well, kids. So bring it. Best team in baseball, record-wise, are the Houston Astros. They arrive here at 26-12. Winners of 11 of their last 14, so a tall order for Tom Kohler. Tonight, Dan Straily has navigated his way through 4 innings of Astros and has yet to give up a hit. Evan Gattis, Yulieski Gurriel, and Alex Bregman. Oh, wow. Straily, not sure what that hit. He's not, he didn't come clean on it. It ended up in his glove or trapped against him. And hopefully that right arm, and he's flexing that right hand.
Yeah, it got him on the right forearm.
Oh.
Sure did. You could hear it. That sound off the bat, off the arm. You could almost watch this. You'll see it. First pitch slider right there. Gattis sees it, goes after it.
Well, he has the wherewithal to pick it up and get it to first.
Yeah, you hear it right there. You can almost.
And he underhands it.
Describe it as something, your arm getting hit when you don't have sleeves on it. It's got that sound. The exit speed on that was 108 miles an hour. So instantaneously, there's no doubt he felt it. Good job of getting the ball over to first base. He's already got a bruise. Look at that bruise on his arm.
Well, this will be the test, and you certainly don't want to jeopardize the rest of the season or the next start. Straley's going to give him a thumbs up. I don't think the man, Don Mattingly said, I'm not convinced. He's going to have to throw from the stretch, throw a slider, I think was the ask there. And Straily talked his way into staying in the ball game.
Now you see it right there. look right there at the top of his forearm, right just above that elbow. You see that. That is not, that's a knot in his arm already. That is where he took that baseball off the bat of Gaddis. You see it, and a little bit harder to see, but you can see it right there.
So Yuli Gurriel pops that one foul. You can kind of see the seams of the baseball that got him there.
Well, you can almost see the impact point right there. It's a little bit darker right at the top.
A 1. So a close eye certainly from the Marlin bench on Straily here as he faces Gurriel and then Alex Bregman. Juan Nieves, Don Mattingly. Marlins trainers all taking a long, hard look at Straily. Gurriel lines it right center. Yelich is there. And he makes the catch. Right in stride. And that's the second out. The tough part for Straily is probably going to be after this inning is done and after he sits down and stops throwing.
Well, I certainly don't want to guess, but I mean, you see the way that knot on his arm's already rising. Great catch by Christian Yelich right there. Got a good break on it as well. Himself in position to do it. But when you sit back down again and you relax and you get out, you're not throwing the 10 minutes in between innings, the 15 minutes in between the inning, where that turns into usually a hard knot in your forearm.
Alex Bregman fouls it at the plate. Bregman, another one of those top draft picks in which it looks like the Astros have really hit on. Second overall in 15 out of LSU. This is now there's a few players this has happened to in Major League history, and I don't know if it was that extreme, but I remember a story about Willie Mays getting off to just an awful start in his Major League career. Bregman was 1 for 34 to open his Major League career.
And boy, did he recover, though. I think that to me is the best part of that story. When you think the 1 for 34, it's what he bounced back to do and actually ended up with very respectable numbers at the end of the season.
Yeah, he hit 264, 478 slugging percentage as well. In 49 games, he popped 8 homers at 13 doubles.
Well, I think it speaks volumes to the mental fortitude that he clearly has as a player.
Breaking ball lined left. Ozuna on the run. He's not going to get it. It's by him, and it goes to the wall. First hit for the Astros, and Bregman stops at second. So a double, a 2-out double. Straley's still looking at his arm right now.
You see this slider right here. This is up, has no horizontal movement across the zone. Bregman does a nice job of jumping all over it. He's ready to hit it. Gets it into the gap. Marcell Ozuna took a little bit of a straight line. Not sure it would have made much of a difference. This ball was hit quite hard. Unable to come up with the catch. Bregman first hit of the ball game for the Astros.
Aoki now. And the Marlins are going to intentionally walk Nori Aoki and pitch to Joe Musgrove. Now Musgrove actually looked decent swinging the bat. It's hard to know what kind of hitter he is. This is only his 3rd plate appearance ever in the big leagues. He had a sacrifice bunt, and here he is now after bouncing out in the 3rd. Straley's arm after the line drive off the bat of Gaddis. Fastball at 90. He's lost velocity here.
He has.
And it looks like he's lost feel somewhat for the slider.
It's not, it doesn't have the depth that it usually does. He's kind of willing his way through this inning right now.
Counts 1-2. got him with a slider. That's gutting it out for Dan Straily. He gets through the 5th. He gives up the first hit, but that right forearm certainly a concern. On Mattingly, and Straily, and I don't think that the Marlins are going to let him go back out there. 63 pitches, that welt on his right forearm. You talked to Don Mattingly. Miami's bullpen is active, which is a sign that that's the end of the road for Straily. You certainly have to admire Straily staying in and pitching through the rest of that inning. And he's not pleased, but I think he's probably not pleased with his luck. There's a shot into center, and JT Riddle has his second hit of the night. Now, this is Straley's spot in the order, and he's going to take the at-bat, and it works out because Riddle has a single, so Straily can go up and bunt. Tyler Moore would have hit had Riddle not singled. Moore was ready with a helmet and a bat, but because of the hit, see Tazawa loosening up. Straley's going to try to bunt Riddle into scoring position. There's Tyler Moore. That one fouled off the catcher, Evan Gattis. So Riddle's 2 for 2. You got Gordon and Yelich after Straily. And Freddie Gonzalez, the little counsel for Straily. He's got a compression sleeve on that right arm, and I would suspect that's to keep the swelling down on that welt. There's the bunt, and it's a beauty. Nicely done by Straily, and he's out at first. Riddle advances to second.
Nice job by third base coach Freddie Gonzalez.
So not only does Straily talk his manager into leaving him in for the rest of that inning, but he ends up getting an at bat after that as well.
Well, and you think of the long-term help that this could be as this game moves on. That would have been using Tyler Moore earlier in the ball game, here in the 5th, with the bench and the positioning. You get later, you saved your guy and you moved your guy up to second base. I mean, there were so many things that came out of that. Riddle getting that inning started with a base hit. Worked out very, very well.
Marlins have had opportunities in this ball game, but they have not cashed in on a 1 as Gordon swings and misses. Leadoff double in the 2nd, and the Marlins were unable to budge Justin Bour at all the rest of the inning.
Well, and that's on the Marlins right now as they continue to struggle in this type of situation. Musgrove actually has a .348 batting average against him with runners in scoring position.
Gordon, a soft liner, and then ends up in the glove of Bregman. And that's the second out. Miami as well in the third inning had 2 singles, but 2 guys thrown out on the bases. You see Straily with his bats and his glove headed into the clubhouse. Remember, Riddle was thrown out trying to stretch a single into a double. Gordon was picked off first to end the inning. And then the bases loaded in the 4th. Leadoff single and a bunt. There's 2 outs, and here's Yelich. High fastball for a strike. And a foul tip off the bat of Yelich. And as we pointed out, you see Yelich very good in getting an important run across. The Marlins have really struggled manufacturing runs. It's either a home run or nothing lately for the Fish, which of course was the roadmap yesterday and finally getting a win, right? Down 1-0 to the Braves. Tyler Moore pinch hitting and hitting a 3-run homer off of R.A. Dickey.
It certainly helps you survive some of this losing that's been going on, but it's got to get better. The Marlins want to get this turned around as quickly as possible. They're going to have to start producing in these situations.
0-2. Yelich in the center field. That's a base hit. And here comes Riddle to score. And Miami gets that run in. That's a go-ahead RBI. Yelich will move up on that chart.
2 strikes. Great hitting by Christian Yelich. My goodness gracious. Saves his best for these moments. Gets a fastball. One of those fastballs we've talked about all night long on the inside part of the plate. But what does he do? He stays inside of it. Great swing right there. Cuts that fastball off. Drives it back through the middle. Marlins take the lead. The big 2-out RBI by Christian Yelich. His 10th go-ahead RBI of the season. See my math right there?
Nicely done.
Thank you.
I was told there would be no math.
Well, sometimes there is.
Ozuna a single in the 4th. So the Marlins have stockpiled 7 hits already. Yelich now moves up for a second-place tie on that list. But has to be careful at first. Musgrove picked off D. Gordon back in the 3rd. Ozuna firing after a slider, and the count's 0-2.
I give some credit to Dan Straily again, getting that sacrifice bunt down. Obviously, the Houston Astros are playing it a little bit differently. Freddie Gonzalez talked to him about that. A lot of times when you're in that position to get that sac bunt down, you don't do it by the book. You have to do it by how they choose to play you. Push bunts it up the first base line, ends up being a beautiful bunt. Marlins able to get the lead.
Ozuna lifts a pop-up into shallow right. Altuve's out. Reddick is in, and Reddick makes the catch. But Miami is on the board first, headed to the 6th. But a pitching change is coming up. 1-0 Miami.
and the Fish, game 1 of the series. We're on the Founders level. There are some great pictures from baseball history and one from Marlins lore. And this is Omar Infante at the plate, April 15th, 2012. We waited and waited. 4 games in, no homers from a Marlins player. But finally, 31 innings in the second inning of this game, he hits one out to left field and gone for the first homer ever by a Fish player at Marlins Park. Ironically, we happen to be out there doing another story. Infante, the answer to the trivia question in Marlins history. Guys?
Craig, you look so much younger back then in 2012. In fact, Craig was in the middle of a Victoria's Secret model interview when that ball went out. Craig's attention not towards the ball, but towards his interview subject. I guess for a top-notch journalist, that holds true no matter who you are interviewing. Junichi Tazawa. All right, so the storyline here, if you're just hopping into this ball game, is that Dan Straily was magnificent against the Astros. Did not give up a hit until a double by Alex Bregman with 2 outs in the 5th. But that first out in the 5th was a 108-mile-an-hour line drive off his forearm, his right forearm, from Evan Gattis. Straily convinced everybody he could pitch the rest of the inning, and he did, but you could see the welt rise on his forearm as the inning went along. And the Marlins have removed him from the game. And so Tazawa now, who's had his struggles this year, takes over against this powerful and dynamic Astros lineup. George Springer, Josh Reddick, Jose Altuve for the Astros, who have won 11 of 14 and have raced to their best start ever. And A.J. Hinch and the Stros, the best record in baseball. Tazawa gets a strike, and it's 2-1.
Now you see Tazawa, he's had a few days off. Last pitched against the St. Louis Cardinals 5 days ago. A little bit better of late. You see the ERA has come down to about 4.50. He's been making some good pitches and using that split finger better. That was one of the issues he was dealing with early in the season. See it right there. Standing split finger fastball.
So from what you saw, the Astros approach to Straily and the sliders, how does that impact the rest of the night for everyone out of the pen?
Well, you know, when you're in a lineup and you're going up against the guy who's got your number and is dealing, you know, you're trying to game plan. You're trying to sit on a pitch. You're trying to get to a particular sequence that would benefit you and get him out of his game. Well, Dan Straily's out of the game. I don't know if the frustration from the Houston hitters continues to play for the rest of the Marlins in the bullpen, or do they change their approach depending on who's in the ball game.
This is a good fastball from Tazawa.
Yeah, you watch it, little running action out there on the outside part of the plate. You see where George Springer's tushy is. Kind of stuck that out there trying to go get it. Unable to foul it off at best right there, and you see his head coming out as well.
Josh Reddick takes a breaking ball for a strike. Reddick, for a guy that had to fight for playing time early in his career with Boston and then in Oakland, has had a nice run in the major leagues.
I know he spent a great deal of time in an Oakland A's uniform, but you see the start that he has had to his Astros career. Having signed a new 4-year deal with the Astros this offseason, he looks like he's got his home finally, like he belongs, like he's almost just fits in this lineup, kind of what they're doing in Houston.
And just like everybody else in this lineup, he fits in, profiles in with a nice on base and a really good slugging percentage. 344 on base, 483 slugging. American League average is 320 on base, 403 slugging. So he's getting on base and he's doing damage with the hits that he gets. Like that one in the corner is going to go to the wall. Stanton plays it on a hop, and Reddick races into second with a 1-out double against Tazawa, and that sets up for Altuve and Correa.
Well, Josh Reddick, one of the hottest hitters in this Astro lineup.
Major League Baseball All-Star Week is coming to Miami. You can get in on the action on the 7th through the 11th of July by visiting All-Star Fan Fest, an interactive baseball theme park. Tickets and more information at allstargame.com. And of course, the All-Star Game on July 11th on Fox, right here at Marlins Park. Look at that. The All-Star logo flies onto the All-Star logo. And it's a pretty good bet you'll see this guy, Jose Altuve, although his numbers are not to his All-Star status of last year. He's only a 4-time All-Star. Of course, he may get voted in by the fans as well. Cold hard fact. Let's roll that out. Consecutive games hitting an opposing batter since 1913. Now this one snuck up on all of us, I think. Altuve was hit in the wrist. Fly ball to right. Stanton is there. Reddick tags at second. On his way to third, and Stanton's throw is cut. So Reddick now occupies third, and it's going to be Tazawa against Correa to try to keep this game at 1-0.
Tazawa really doing a better job over the last 7 ball games of making pitches. That Reddick double was the first extra base hit he had allowed over the last 7 appearances.
Correa struck out and flied out. Tazawa's out pitch, his best pitch, is that split finger fastball. It's a little pressure on JT Realmuto with a runner at third and 2 outs. And he flips in a breaking ball for strike 1.
And that's one of the things he really, when things started to turn for him, he started doing a little bit more. He used to lead with the fastball early on in the season, was struggling with that fastball command, went to the big curveball right out of the gate, and has been using it quite regularly to get ahead of hitters.
Tazawa, of course, a long run with Boston in their bullpen. The Astros moving over to the American League in 2013, so they've seen him. And it's 2-1. You've got Gaddis on deck.
Correa right here, still looking for a fastball, middle away from Tazawa. Tazawa trying to get it down in the zone.
And that's Realmuto getting the gate down in time. And the count 3-1. Well, the Marlins bullpen certainly lined up and delivered yesterday. Kyle Bearclaw, David Phelps, AJ Ramos all looked sharp. 3 scoreless innings in support of Justin Nicolino in a 3-1 win. Going to need 4 innings out of the pen at least here tonight. And that breaking ball misses in, and now here comes Gaddis.
Well, with 2 outs, I'm not sure that's a bad pass right there. He was very careful, didn't want to make a mistake to the hottest hitter in this Astros lineup when you look at it. Over the last 6 ball games, Correa's hit .455 coming in today with a .500 on base percentage. He's driven in 10 runs over the last 6 ball games. So sometimes you got to pick the guy you really want to go after, especially with 2 outs. You trust your stuff right now, and Tazawa has been trusting his stuff a lot better lately. He knows he can execute pitches to Gaddis. This might end up being the right decision.
And of course, it was Gaddis who hit the line drive off the forearm of Straily, 108 miles an hour on the exit. Straily was able to get that baseball and get Gaddis out at first. He is a big, strong man. And Gaddis fouls it off and out of play.
He's got a very unique approach at home plate. Spreads out, stands right on top of the plate. Of course, he looks like a lumberjack just when he's standing there, but when he gets in there, it's like he tries to own home plate. That's what he does. He's done it his entire career. Watch you see his knee, his elbows and hands will be hanging almost over home plate.
Gaddis has always been all business, whether he's behind the plate or at the plate. I mean, there's no question that he's an intense guy. One. And that's in. I mean, look at that picture. You want to mess with that guy?
Nope. Of course, he doesn't hit with batting gloves on.
6'4", 253.
No batting gloves.
No, who needs batting gloves when your nickname is El Oso Blanco, the white bear? Yep. That won't even leave a mark either.
He just flinched. Got an elbow pad on.
And Tazawa now has given up a double, a walk, has hit Gaddis.
Now this is a breaking ball that gets away. Gaddis just kind of turns into it right there. You see that elbow pad. He certainly has been hit on the back of that arm a few times.
Don't poke the bear.
I don't think that breaking ball, I'm not sure he even felt it.
Now, Tazawa has no place to put Yulieski Gurriel.
Now this has turned into a dicey situation to one of the best teams with runners in scoring position on the season. Houston Astros 4th in all of baseball at 302.
Gurriel takes up. Yulieski Gurriel has a younger brother who's now a Toronto Blue Jay, Lourdes Gurriel, who is 23. And here comes Juan Nieves. And the Gurriel brothers over the last 3-4 years have been one of the mysteries of Cuban baseball. Talked an awful lot about. Yulieski may be a little past his prime, though, at 32. He was a star in Serie Nacional. Arrived there as a 17-year-old. 3 World Baseball Classics. His dad, a Cuban baseball legend, Lourdes, played in Japan in 2015. Defected last February, actually February 16. 1-0 pitch to Gurriel. Fastball's up, and Tazawa doesn't look sharp.
Well, he looked sharp to start the inning. As soon as the Reddick double happened, things have gotten away from him a little bit. You see it right there, 12 balls, 10 strikes. Started this inning by striking out George Springer and getting ahead of Josh Reddick with 2 strikes.
2-0 fastball is a strike. Gurriel, like most Cuban right-handed hitters, good power to center and to right center. Good breaking ball hitter. Gurriel to left, a rocket that's deep and gone, and a grand slam. And Tazawa not only gives up the lead, he gives up a 4 spot. And the struggles of Junichi Tazawa continue tonight.
Yuli Gurriel hunting a fastball, just waiting for the one he wanted. Laid off a couple of high fastballs earlier in the count, got ahead. Well, he finally got the one he wanted. Fastball out over the plate. This was the best of the bunch. It split the plate. Comes out of his shoes. He knows he got it. Long line drive home run for the grand slam.
Alex Bregman now. And Tazawa misses outside.
You saw the patience, the 3 pitches prior to this, and then the one mistake out over the plate.
Bregman left center, Yelich and Ozuna, and it's Ozuna who makes the catch. Junichi Tazawa taking over in the 6th. Yuli Gurriel for the grand slam. I think some plaudits from the fans behind the dugout of the Houston Astros. In support of Mental Health Month this May, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and their commitment to replacing stigma with hope and improving the lives of families and those affected by mental health conditions. Learn more about how to be stigma-free and visit foxsportsupports.com. Well, a tight ball game all of a sudden has turned Joe Musgrove's way. The Marlins have had opportunities for more than the one run they have. Another hard hit ball from Justin Bour, but Altuve on the outfield grass is there to get it. And that's the first out of the 6th inning.
Yeah, that's a reflection of what the Houston Astros have been doing to just about everybody in baseball right now, coming up with a big hit in that spot. We talked about where they are in the leaderboards. I told you, 302 batting average as a team with runners in scoring position, and you saw their one opportunity in this game so far to score some runs. The at-bats just got a little bit better. They were a little bit more patient and finally got a pitch to hit. They didn't miss it.
Joe Musgrove has struck Giancarlo Stanton out twice, both times swinging, and both times with sliders. Yeah, slider gets him ahead 0-2. Of course, the whole game turned on the line drive off the bat of Evan Gattis that hit Dan Straily in the right forearm. Straily was able to stay in and finish that inning. He left after 5 innings, having given up just 1 hit. The Marlins would then get a run in the bottom of the 5th, but out of the bullpen, Junichi Tazawa gives up 4. Breaking ball, Stanton rolls it into center field. That's a base hit. 1-out single for Giancarlo. Got Real Muto and Dietrich lined up behind him.
Nice bet by Giancarlo Stanton right there. Lay off a tough slider and get one he can handle.
Geico presents This Day in Marlins History, 1998. Marlins set club marks in the first inning with 8 consecutive hits, 11 consecutive hitters, and beat the Cardinals 8-7. Brent Strom, the pitching coach of the Astros, is out, and he'll talk to Musgrove. As you pointed out, with the doubleheader yesterday and 2 high-scoring games, the Astros bullpen worked a lot. Strom was quick with his point. He's done a nice job with this pitching staff. And here's Real Muto.
See, working here in the 6th at 86 pitches. Marlins have an opportunity to respond, and I think that's the goal, obviously, right here. Punch, counter punch. Astros come up with a huge grand slam right there. Brent Strom making sure that.
That's a long conversation right now, and we've been watching this for the last 4 or 5 minutes with Juan Nieves. Tazawa, his translator, is there. It's an interesting spot to be as a translator right now, because obviously things are not going well for Tazawa, and you've got a lot of questions. You probably have the frustration of Tazawa. How do you translate that in both directions? Here's a 2-0 pitch, and Real Muto takes down. It counts 3-0 to JT, who walked back in the 4th. There's also a member of the Gene Basham, part of the Marlins training staff, is there as well.
Maybe something's not right. I don't think there were any indicators on his fastball velocity. It was pretty solid.
Mike Kozak, also one of the Miami trainers. JT Real Muto lifts one to left. Aoki, though, at the track, makes the catch. Oh, he hit it well. And there's 2 outs.
See JT right there, just knew, just got it off the end of the bat. A little more barrel. It's a 4-3 ball game right there. Nice swing of the bat from JT, just got it off the end a little bit. Aoki catches it about halfway across the track.
And A.J. Hinch is going to make a double switch and a pitching change. Musgrove out. 4-1 Astros with 2 outs in the 6th. and their bench. Marwin Gonzalez, one of the most versatile players in either league, and a really good one whenever he plays. He's going to come in at third base on this double switch to get James Hoyt into the ball game. Hoyt last pitched on Friday in New York, allowed a run on 3 hits. That's the first run he's allowed on the season.
You see how ridiculous his numbers were. 6 2/3 innings, 16 punch-outs. Fastball, slider, does throw a split finger as well. That fastball will be 94 miles an hour, 94, 95, and a slider that he throws about half the time. You just saw it.
Dietrich a roller, and he's behind in the count 0-2. Bullpen very good for Houston, 3.47 ERA.
About 5 power arms down there. Guys that throw 94, 95 mile an hour plus. Sprinkle in a Luke Gregerson or a Tony Sipp. Change up those arm angles, those hard throwing right-handers.
Oh, look out. The cameraman there ends up with the ball. I think he got clipped by it as well, but good to see he's okay. Find a kid, give him the ball. High fastball at 96, and down goes Dietrich. Miami leaves a runner. Astros up 4-1. In Miami. Pride at the Park is Friday, May 26th. Enjoy ticket and drink specials, DJ, live entertainment, and more. Purchase a special event ticket and receive Pride at the Park hat. Portion of the proceeds will support local LGBTQ organizations. Get tickets at marlins.com/special events. In between innings, Junichi Tazawa. Couple of trainers and Juan Nieves by his side. On into the clubhouse, and so Brad Ziegler takes over. Tazawa giving up the Gurriel grand slam after a double, a walk, and a hit batter loaded the bags. And Ziegler, who is trying to reclaim his role in the bullpen as well, gets Nori Aoki, Marwin Gonzalez, and George Springer.
Ziegler got off to a brilliant start. His first 13 appearances, a .71 ERA. Now his last 4 appearances, 48.62. 9 earned runs.
Gordon.
Inning and 2/3.
Nice play, but you're not going to get Aoki, who can really run.
These are some of the breaks that Ziegler has not been getting. You see this right here. D, fantastic job. Able to cut that off. The speed of Aoki part of this now. D spins and fires. Aoki beats it out easily. We're talking about that with Ziegler. That is also part of this. He's been able to get, in some instances, the ground balls that he's been looking for. Fortunately, a lot of them are finding holes right now.
Marwin Gonzalez now, a 28-year-old Venezuelan, is a unsung hero of this Astros team. A guy that played 6 different positions last year. And played them all pretty well. 4 infield spots, and he also played left and center. Look at the OPS. Look at the home runs. Look at the damage that Marwin Gonzalez has done.
He doesn't even play every day.
Carries a 9-game hit streak. He's a guy that had homered in 5 consecutive starts. Four of those starts were at different positions, and he's the first player in the modern era to ever do that. Homer in 4 consecutive games at 4 different positions.
Well, it's what he does. I mean, that's what's so interesting. And Astros are stuck with the idea, getting him in the lineup. When you're swinging the bat that well, you're going to have to use his versatility on the field to the team's advantage, keeping his bat in the lineup and getting him in there. What's so interesting, and part of why the Astros are so far out in front of everybody, is that they've had a lot of hot hitters.
Chopper over Bour into right. Stanton picks it up. Hustling to third is Aoki. That one just over the glove of Bour. And a couple of hits to open up the 7th inning. Here comes Springer.
Well, these aren't 2 rockets. You see where Justin Bour is right there. He's holding on the runner. Actually gets the top of the baseball right there, kind of redirects it a little bit. D. Gordon unable to kind of hold it into the infield, which allows Aoki. Watch this. There's a little redirection right here. See how it kind of redirects it? This is the tough luck that Ziegler's been dealing with right now. He's made his pitches in both instances. One an infield hit. That one off Justin Bour's glove. Got to deal with runners on first and third now with nobody out.
And you've got Springer up, who carries a 13-game hit streak. He's not extended it tonight. He's punched out twice and bounced out. 2 home runs last night in the 2nd game. And the Marlins shift him to pull on the infield with Gordon over towards second. And with Bour holding the runner on, there's an enormous, you can see the gap on the right side.
Well, and George Springer peeked at that gap on the right side just before the first pitch of the at-bat, almost like he's thinking about going that way.
Now, the Marlins were burned when they shifted behind Ziegler up in New York in a big way. And that one rolls towards Riddle, going to go the short way. Gordon will hold it, and that's the best of both worlds there. Ziegler gets the ground ball, gets an out, and holds the runner at third. And that for Aoki, the runner at third, you surprised that he wasn't running first?
I was surprised that he wasn't running there, because the natural inclination is to turn 2 right there, but held. I don't know what he was considering. Usually that's how it goes. You usually break, but didn't break right away. There was no sense of Aoki breaking on contact right there. As soon as that ball's down, if he was going to go, you would have seen him take off as soon as that ball would have hit the dirt.
Gary Pettis, the third base coach. So Gonzalez is erased. Springer is at first, and here is Reddick. And a more traditional alignment on the infield. with Riddle and Gordon playing at double play depth.
Well, as hot as the top of this lineup has been, you can almost reconsider what I just said. You know, you're in the position where your runner at third maybe isn't going on contact. You get the call to make it go through because you've got so many hot hitters now coming up. Reddick, Altuve, Correa behind Springer.
Reddick doubled in the 6th. That was against Tazawa. It's interesting that Tazawa had that long conversation with the trainers around. Here's the 2-0. Because he looked sharp to start the inning. I mean, he carved up George Springer. Reddick doubled with 2 strikes, and then it all fell apart after that. 3-0 to Reddick. And he fouls it at the plate.
His pace completely changed in that sequencing after the Josh Reddick double. He was in a good rhythm, getting the ball back on the mound, making quick pitches and getting after it, and then just came to almost to a stop as he was carefully trying to navigate the Astros lineup.
Ziegler looking for a double play grounder here at the corners with 1 out. And he misses, and the bags are loaded. Talking to Don Mattingly a couple days ago about Miami's struggles, and it's been well documented that just about every area the Marlins have at one point or another failed in that course of 2 weeks, say, whether it was relief pitching one night, starting pitching another night, offense another night, defense another night. Altuve takes a strike, and it's just like the analogy is at the circus, right, where the guy is spinning the plates. Just when you get one plate going, you got to run over, the other one's wobbling, and then once you get that going, the other one starts to wobble. Well, I mean, the Marlins yesterday rather, their bullpen was outstanding, and so that plate all of a sudden is spinning and looking good, and then here tonight it wobbles and crashes to the ground with that grand slam and 4 runs. Ziegler right now wobbling here against Altuve with 1 out and the bags loaded.
Well, for a team that is struggling, you know, at points during the season you trust certain aspects of your team early on, trusting that offense to come through consistently. At times now it's becoming a little bit more of an issue, especially with runners in scoring position. The defense, we raved about the defense early on this season, how good it was. It's had its moments of late. We've talked about the walks, and what ends up a lot of times what ends up happening with a team is that they lose their trust in the areas of the team that they once had the greatest trust in.
2-1 pitch. Altuve into left field. That's a base hit. Aoki will score. Runner coming around, and Ozuna lost the ball. He throws to third, and Altuve gets to second. And the Astros have a 6-1 lead. And there's still only 1 out.
Now you see the pitch right there. That's at the belt. Jose Altuve jumps all over it, grounds it through the left side. Should score 1. Marcell Ozuna charging hard to cut that run down. Just misses the ball off the top of his glove right there. It's going to allow a second run to score and the runners to advance another base.
Yeah, and the throw goes to third while Altuve ends up getting to second. An intentional walk now is going to load the bases. Correa down to first. Evan Gattis is the hitter. So it'll be an error on Ozuna to allow the runners to advance. It's a 2-run single for Altuve. Miami's bullpen is scrambling, and the second straight reliever is in deep you know what for Miami after 5 one-hit shutout innings from Dan Straily. And again, Straily left after a line drive hit him in the forearm, the right arm. In that 5th, he finished the 5th and then was taken out of the ball game, I'm sure, as a precaution.
Well, you speak to the struggles. Every base hit this inning against Ziegler has been on the ground. Houston Astros lineup has been scoring runs at a tremendous clip, especially of late over the last 14 ball games, averaging over 6 runs a ball game, at 6 right now.
Ziegler misses in, and he's 2-1 to Gaddis. Gaddis 0 for 2, hit by a pitch.
Astros 3 grand slams this season already. All have come in the month of May.
That pitch is in. And so now you got Gaddis, who has immense power, who nearly hit one out of Marlins Park as an Atlanta Brave. See the ball strike ratio. He's got a 3-1 pitch. There's still only 1 out, and the bags are loaded again. That one is to Gordon. Riddle's turn is in time to get the out and get out of the inning. The Astros add 2 more, and they stretch their lead to 6-1. Seventh, and the Astros on top 6-1. And for Miami, a frustrating night here tonight, especially watching Dan Straily go out and throw no hit ball until he himself got hit in the 5th inning.
Well, you know, he's got that sense of almost piling on. Dan Straily, masterful navigating this Astros lineup. Beautiful job. I mean, just working it, getting bad contact, striking a few guys out. Then you get into the bullpen, all of a sudden the walks start kind of popping back up again. 4 walks from the bullpen turn into 2 additional runs. You see the score right now at 6-1. It's kind of how it's gone, and it's that pattern that the Marlins are stuck in and trying to get out of.
Yeah, Yuli Gurriel over our shoulder. Once he got Junichi Tazawa with the bags loaded. Tazawa fell behind. Gurriel went out. That knocked in the first 4. And then Brad Ziegler comes in, and Ziegler continues to struggle to get outs. 2 more runs on the Altuve single.
Well, this Astros lineup has it's kind of re-identified itself here. I mean, they're a little bit different than they have been in years past. In years past, you talked Astros, you talked power, homers, lots of strikeouts. They don't strike out nearly as much anymore. In fact, they're in the bottom 5 of the league when it comes to strikeouts, which means their at-bats are better.
JT Riddle busts one to left. Have a night, JT Riddle. That one is going to bounce up against the wall. And Riddle has got his 3rd hit of the night. He's 3 for 3. 2 singles and a double.
First double of his career. JT Riddle right there. Slider, Hoyt. Hanging, drives it, stays inside it, drives it over Yoki's head.
Ichiro will get the at bat here. This is the pitcher spot for Miami. Top of the order, Gordon, Yelich, and then Ozuna. And Ichiro takes outside. Ichiro versus the Astros in his career. 68 at bats, a 441 average.
Sees the ball well against him. It's funny though.
Those at bats have come at the end of his career. Most of them have, because obviously up until 2013 the Astros were a National League team,
club,
and Ichiro has been in the American League up until his stay here in Miami, which started in 2015.
Well, I'd be willing to say that the majority of those at bats were against a different type of Astros team. It takes the walk.
The type of Astros team that earned them the right to pick Carlos Correa first overall.
Yeah, what was that list? That laundry list of I think 4 or 5 first rounders you gave me.
Alex Bregman 2nd overall, George Springer 11th overall.
Yeah, but you get the pick there for a reason.
Yeah, well, but to their credit, they've hit on all of their picks.
That's the key. And I mean, again, even around baseball, you hear an awful lot. You know, the formula for success when you rebuild, and the Astros get referenced many, many times, doing it like the Astros did it.
Well, D. Gordon now, Miami trying to string something together here in the bottom of the 7th. Gordon is 1 for 3. Sharp ground ball to second. Altuve a flip. Look at that turn. Altuve to Correa to Gurriel. Those guys are good.
Can't get much faster than what you just saw right there. Altuve gets the big hop. Quick backhand flip to Correa, and look at it as he just runs across the bag. Doesn't worry about planting, can throw on the run right there. Does because of the speed of Gordon. Strong throw across the diamond.
So the Marlins are left with Yelich at the plate and Riddle at third base. Yelich knocked in a run in the 5th. This is his first at bat against James Hoyt.
You see those numbers for Christian Yelich on the season. 289, 5 homers, 20 RBIs, just steadily every day getting higher and higher.
One and two.
I think it would be fair to say that Christian Yelich hasn't even really hit that hot stretch that you see a hitter hit every now and again. A 2-week period where just hitting the cover off the baseball. He's just been so steady, and he's actually in a great position to hit that 2-week burst that sometimes you see a player hit.
Change up, swings and misses, and the Marlins a promising 7th fizzles. 6-1 Houston. Well, tomorrow night, back at it, Houston and Miami. And we've got it for you at 6:30, Marlins Live. Dallas Keuchel, Tom Kohler. The Astros have exploded here tonight for 6 runs, erasing a 1-0 Miami lead. And showing everybody here in Miami why they have the best record in baseball. They're 26-12. Dustin McGowan in for Miami. And he will pitch at the top of the 8th inning. Yuli Gurriel, who changed this game, took Junichi Tazawa out to left for a grand slam after the Astros loaded the bases in the 6th on a double, a walk, and a hit batter. And Gurriel takes strike 1.
The grand slam was obviously a big moment in this ball game. Two outs in the 6th. Dustin McGowan, he's been throwing the ball better of late. Really his biggest issue are the walks. 7 walks in his last 5 appearances.
Well, for the Marlins, it was a homestand when you looked at it. It said you got the Cardinals coming in. Cardinals were playing better. And then the Braves. And then the Astros. Certainly everybody knows the Astros are good this year after a step backwards last year. And the Fish have won just 1 game on this homestand and have really struggled at home. In fact, in their last 11 ball games, they've won just twice.
Well, and that's the home field advantage you're looking to to play for. If you go out on the road, even some of the better teams around baseball play 500 ball on the road, which the Marlins have nearly done.
It's Gurriel driving it to right center field, over the head of Stanton, off the wall it goes. And so Gurriel has a grand slam and a double.
What good teams do is they learn how to defend their own turf. It's Gurriel right here. Stay inside it, drive it over Giancarlo Stanton's head.
That's that patented Cuban right-handed bat. It just has that off-field
It's
power.
funny because you see this in a lot of Cuban players, almost like a bat wrap, and you see that bat over their heads, but their hands are so short and quick to the ball that it isn't as long as it seems. Watch how quick he gets through this right here and stays through the swing. Now remember, he starts with his hands over his head.
We talked about that yesterday. In fact, we saw the video of Alfredo Despagne and Friedrich Cepeda.
Yeah, watch that right there. You see it. Even though they start there, the first move isn't forward towards the mound. It's actually in closer to the body. It shortens up the swing.
Jake Marisnick, former Marlin. Marisnick came in that large deal after the 2012 season with the Toronto Blue Jays. Got to the big leagues with the Fish and has been just a terrific defensive player. Won a game the other night at Yankee Stadium with a throw from left field that nailed a runner at the plate with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th to seal a 1-run win.
That was after that throw that the accolades like the Houston Astros are the most complete team in baseball really started to kind of fly around. It's when I've heard them the most. Started raving about the defense, the offense, the starting pitching, the bullpen arms, and we're seeing a lot of that again tonight.
Marisnick with a count 2-2. He's always been an intriguing package of speed and defense and power, but consistent contact has eluded him so far in his big league career. He's got better numbers this year. He's hitting at 258, excuse me, 238, which is actually up from where he was last year. Breaking ball misses down low.
Well, the Astros are in a good position to allow him to figure that out. Not a lot of outfielders, you know, organizationally speaking, teams will get into position, give him an opportunity, and if he doesn't hit enough, player ends up moving on. Rusnick has made a home with this Astros team, has been there for a few seasons. Even though he struggled with the bat, they put such value on his defense that it's kept him on the roster, and it continues to extend him opportunity.
Pop up. McGowan vacates the mound. D takes over and makes the catch. MLB.com at bat, your #1 mobile app for live Marlins baseball. You can stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Marlins home screen icons, app features, as well as game day, video highlights, radio broadcast, StatCast, publicity photos of Todd Hollandsworth, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today. Here is Norechika Aoki. Aoki played on Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic this year. He and Ichiro were teammates for that team in 06 and 09. There's a lot of Japanese media that have arrived here for this series because of that. Aoki, a very good hitter as well in his career, playing over in Japan.
The Astros, A.J. Hinch and front office have done a really nice job of putting a diverse roster together. Combination of on-base percentage guys, slugging percentage. You've talked about, you know, the combination of how many hot players they have and how many guys are really doing it. But, you know, you look at how they are. I mean, it's so interesting. Like, Aoki can lead off for these guys. If George Springer needs a day off or he gets himself into a rut, Aoki can slide right into that top spot. Now, is he different than George Springer? Sure he is. But he consistently gets on base, has throughout his entire career, plays a solid defensive outfield, and can lead off.
1-2. And he's done something in Japan that Ichiro never did. Now, that sounds like, you know, what the heck could that be?
Where are you going?
And that's 2 200-hit seasons.
Wow.
Ichiro never had more than 1 200-hit season. Look, the schedule in Japan is shorter than Major League Baseball. It's in the 142 to 145, 146 range. And Aoki had a couple 200-hit seasons. Flips that ball to the left. Ozuna is there. Gurriel is back to second. 2 outs here, the 8th, and Marwin Gonzalez comes to the plate. This is a night in baseball where a lot of teams traveled today for their next series. Not a full schedule of games.
More than half the games being played out west. Arizona, Southern California, San Diego, Seattle, and San Francisco.
And the Mets are out west to take on Arizona. Atlanta is up in Toronto, and they're pounding the Blue Jays 10-3. Now, Major League Baseball in scheduling interleague rivals, Marlins, Rays, probably not the same cachet as Cubs, White Sox, Yankees, Mets, but it still makes sense, right? Well, for some teams, they've always had trouble finding that, and Atlanta is one of those teams. The Braves, Atlanta, Boston, old Boston Braves, that made sense. Sometimes it's a World Series that will bring teams together for that rivalry. It was with the Phillies and the Blue Jays, and it is with the Braves and the Blue Jays. But I wonder if Major League Baseball calls up the team that lost in that World Series and says, is it okay if we send you up there just to bring back the memories of that World Series loss, because I know they're getting together for the World Series, but one team probably doesn't want to remember that.
Right.
And McGowan gets a strike, and it's 2-1. I mean, I'm sure Toronto is happy, and I'm sure there's a few articles and maybe a feature or two on the Blue Jays beating the Braves in the World Series. I doubt that there's anything running on the Braves side of things.
Right. Well,
and I doubt that when the Phillies and Blue Jays were renewing that rivalry as bitter rivals or rivals for interleague, that they invited Mitch Williams in for the
right.
You know what I mean, for the ceremonies,
for the ceremony, right? Let's remember. Yeah,
right.
I don't think so.
No photo opportunity with Joe Carter at home plate or anything.
Now, I know that Major League Baseball really does try to, obviously put together a fair schedule, a competitive schedule, and one that creates some not always natural, matchups.
And that's, look, it's not easy.
No.
And for a lot of reasons in scheduling. Number one, clubs always submit a list of dates they want and dates they don't want to be home, whether they conflict with something else in the city or in the facility. You've got interleague matchups and changing divisions. The Marlins and everybody else in the East are playing the American League West. Obviously, Houston is part of that group, so that brings its own challenges as well. Three-two. Little tapper back to the mound. McGowan underhands to first, and Dustin McGowan avoids trouble despite the leadoff double. Bottom 8, 6-1, Houston.
One there is Miguel Rojas, the studious look, and you can see on that right hand is a hard cast on that right thumb, but he did tell us about it today, and there's some good news here. He had the surgery, as you know, last Saturday, Friday actually, a little plate and 3 pins put in there to stabilize. Here's the good news: no ligament or tendon damage. The doctor told him that hard cast should be able to come off by this Friday, just a week. And then recovery time, probably 4 to 6 weeks at a minimum just to heal. He expects to be on that DL probably for the 60 days. He's hoping, guys, to come back just before the All-Star break. The Marlins medical people think that might be a little aggressive, but it's okay to be confident and try for a speedy recovery. So it was good news. Miguel was in much better mood today, finding out that he didn't have the ligament or tendon damage. And by the way, guys, we talked to him today. He's going to come into the studio with us on Thursday night, a couple of segments for our pregame show when you guys are in Los Angeles.
You know, I asked him, Craig, the other day if he wanted to come up to the booth, and he said yes, absolutely. He liked that idea. So,
right. But he preferred the pregame, he told me.
Well, that's
no, I'm kidding.
That's because he's got to be in the dugout for the game, and we'll be on the road. No, but he's one of our favorite guys. So.
He's great. Yeah, this should be fun.
All right, go easy on him though.
Yeah, we'll try.
All right, there's a 2-1 swing and a miss by Ozuna. Luke Gregerson is on the mound. That prompts Josh Reddick to run over to left and Jake Marisnick to go into center. Excuse me. There you go. Thank you. Jake Marisnick in center. And Springer over in right. And Ozuna swings and misses badly at a couple of sliders. And it has been a frustrating 2 weeks for sure to see the Marlins plummet from second place down to last place. And a night like tonight, where things were going so well with Straily, got hit by the line drive, had to leave, and then Tazawa comes in, gets his first out, and then everything falls around him with a grand slam by Gurriel. And you could kind of sense the frustration again, and you see it out on the field, especially with Ozuna, who's been so good at not chasing. It's hard to keep that frustration in.
It happens a lot of times. Even a hot player, an individual, somebody swinging the bat particularly well, throwing the ball particularly well, things are going right in their world. Individually, when a team starts to struggle collectively, most of the time what you usually see is that player can protect himself from maybe what's going on around him, still be a productive player at a very high level for a period of time. But what almost usually ends up happening
Justin Bour to right and deep and gone. Justin Bour's got 3 hits tonight, a double, a single, and now a homer, and he's on a real tear. Miami has their second run of the night.
Yeah, he's putting on a clinic right now. His 8th home run was putting a clinic on in batting practice today as well. Doing a lot of that right there. Seeing the ball. And right now, this is a good example of what I'm talking about. Gets that front foot down, elevated. Great extension right there. Just drives it out, sends it back out on the plane it came in. I don't mean an airplane, I mean literally where that ball was, high in the zone. Just redirects it. See it one more time right there. He knows he got every bit of that one. But again, to finish the point, you know, like Justin Bour's doing right now, you're seeing it firsthand. He's kind of, you can keep yourself going and motivated because you're having that success. But when you look at the whole picture of the team and the struggles are all there, you know that your teammates are struggling, that brings you down. You know that the team is losing, that brings you down. You know that the injuries that the team is dealing with right now, that brings you down. So you have to kind of in your mind, you know, put all that stuff aside and still go out there and try to do your job to the best of your ability and not be affected by some of that negativity that's going on around you. Not easy to do.
And I did not mean to single out Ozuna, because he's been one of the guys that is, in these 2 weeks, continue to play hard and play well.
Right. Well, is it fair if I say it like this? Because I mean, as players, we used to think it like this. It's almost like a virus. Like somebody has the flu, and you don't want to catch the flu. And the flu, you know, it makes you sick. You don't feel good when it's going on. And what ends up happening is it goes through your team, and it's like you find yourself in these situations where the score gets out of hand a little bit, trying to put your best at bats together, and you find yourself not putting your best at bats together sometimes.
Stanton singled back in the 6th. He's struck out twice. And a 3-1 pitch from Gregerson.
It happens. It's a byproduct of losing. I've been on enough teams that I've lived through it. I've done it myself a lot. You can't help but feel what goes on around you. And to tell yourself that, well, I'm immune to the losing, that I'm going to, show up tomorrow and everything's going to be great in our world. It's not always the case when you kind of are stuck in a pattern. Everybody in that dugout right now wants to change that pattern.
Stanton swings and misses a slider again. And there's 2 outs here in the 8th inning.
Let's give you some numbers on that Bour home run. 437 feet. See that slider right there? Giancarlo Stanton. Houston Astros have gone at him with those sliders tonight. Heavy diet of them on the low corner. That Bour home run, 437 feet off the bat, 108 miles per hour. Justin Bour seeing the ball so well right now.
Real Muto. And Gregerson throws a strike. Ball and a strike to JT. In that Braves ball game in Toronto, Freddie Freeman with a 3-run homer. Matt Kemp is 4 for 4 in the ball game with a couple of doubles. And that is a Bartolo Colon start north of the border. And the Blue Jays, this is a 2-2 for those guys too. It's 2 in Toronto, and then they all go back to Atlanta and play 2.
Toronto team, quite surprising the start they've gotten off to this season.
Up the middle, Altuve. And it's a base hit for Real Muto. Altuve has some gold gloves as well. But with JT's speed, he's going to beat that regardless. Actually has 1 gold glove, 2015.
See some redirect right there off Gregerson with his foot. Altuve pretty quick at getting it. JT Real Muto quicker down the line.
Derek Dietrich an 0 for 3. Marlins down 4 here. Bottom 8. Strike to Dietrich. This was a Joe Musgrove start, 5 2/3, a run. Struck out 5, he walked 1. Gregerson the second out of the pen. James Hoyt went an inning and a third.
Strike pitch to Dietrich.
Houston has power arms in the back of the pen. Ken Giles, former Philly. Chris Davinsky as well has kind of been their secret weapon as it was last year.
It roughed up a little bit yesterday. Wickren keeps loose in the bullpen for the Marlins.
Dietrich in the shallow center. And it's Marisnick who makes the catch. Marlins get a run back. Justin Bour stays hot. 3 hits, including his 8th homer of the season. Bour. Oh, Derek Jeter yesterday. You know what? Having watched the entire ceremony, that was a terrific night at Yankee Stadium. The Yankees did an incredible job bringing out all the history and tradition, as well as celebrating Jeter's career, all of his teammates. Big night, Yankee Stadium. And the Astro players, as we noted, we're all thrilled to be there. They're a young team, and that generation grew up. Jeter tops the list for that generation of, hey, who's your favorite player growing up? And so a thrill for the Astros to be there. It was between games of that doubleheader.
Derek Jeter, one of the best that ever played the game. I don't care. I mean, you hear people out there at times talk about his numbers and comparing this to that, whatever. Bottom line is this guy was a winner. He went out and played the game the right way, wanted to win, won 5 rings, crying out loud. One of the best I had the privilege of competing against.
George Springer, Josh Reddick, Jose Altuve. You talked about all the games out on the West Coast. There was a game in Cleveland with the Rays and the Indians. Roller towards third. Dietrich has it, fires to first. And that's I guess a reunion of sorts. Remember, Kevin Cash, the manager for the Rays, was a coach for Terry Francona with the Indians. And so Francona called up the guys that do the scoreboard. And this is what they had up on the scoreboard when Kevin Cash was out and looking around. How bad is Kevin Cash at the plate? And they put his career numbers up, and a historical note: non-pitchers with at least 650 plate appearances, 5th worst OPS. So a prank from Francona to Cash. You don't necessarily see that between major league managers, but they're both very good friends, obviously.
Very close, very close.
I'm sure Kevin Cash took it with a smile on his face.
Just so that everybody who's smiling looking at that right now, that's not the first time he's done that. He has done it before, and always finds a way to bring his career numbers into it, which I find so amusing. I'm sure Kevin Cash probably brings a smile to his face. He's a great manager.
Well, and certainly is indebted to Francona for bringing him up to the major leagues and furthering his managerial career, and had a role in, you would think, getting him that job in St. Pete.
Ripped foul by Reddick. He's got a double in the ball game tonight, a walk to go along with it.
Reddick swings and misses, and we apologize for the severity of that breaking ball by McGowan, which forced the remark from Reddick.
Hanging breaking ball up there at the top of the zone. Josh Reddick clearly thought he should have done more with it than what he did.
So Reddick strikes out.
I'll bring up Jose Altuve.
Now, Altuve loves Mother's Day, okay? But I don't think you're going to get him to wear the pink shoes anymore. Yesterday, Altuve was wearing the pink shoes. He had to come out of the game, the second game, because one of his feet went numb, and he was afraid that there was something wrong with his foot. As it turns out, his pink shoes were just too tight.
I've done that before.
And so he was scared. I mean,
seriously.
Look, yeah, he was scared that something was wrong, and came out, took off the pink shoes, and the foot feels much better. Altuve, left center field. That is deep. That is a long home run. Little man, big power, Jose Altuve. Plenty of feeling in the feet and in the bat. And it's 7-2 Houston.
He is going to absolutely jump all over this one. Pound for pound, probably the most power in the game of baseball when you think about it. My goodness, gets a fastball. That's at his letters. Almost over the home run sculpture.
That's up in the sunshine and flamingos.
It's over the flamingos, isn't it?
I don't think StatCast measures what's up there, but they'll tell us the distance here momentarily. Yes, you're right. It is over a flamingo.
425 is what we've got.
Carlos Correa was 0 for 2 with a couple of walks.
It's been so amazing watching this Houston Astros team get off to the start that they have this season. You watch them play, you see the confidence kind of coming out, how much they enjoy playing with each other, even watching Altuve walk up and down that dugout right there. Most players and even ex-players, guys around the game, look at this Astros team and think they haven't even hit full stride yet. You have some young players there, first, second, third-year players that are still working into prime. There's a great example, the guy in the box right now.
And that's, you see Carlos Beltran sitting there. That's the importance of the addition of McCann and Beltran and
Absolutely.
Reddick.
Absolutely.
Guys that have been to the postseason, veteran guys, to sprinkle in with all this young talent. McGowan with a breaking ball, and Correa strikes out. Altuve goes deep. 7-2 Astros. Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Jeep, get great deals on the Jeep lineup at the Jeep Spring Clearance events. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. Jose Altuve has driven in 3 of the Astros' 7 runs. And this fan got Jose Altuve's bat sitting down near the Astros dugout with a Marlins cap on. Altuve making friends. That is an Altuve model. Is that a Sam bat?
Well done, Jose Altuve. Yeah, so you saw it's the redo crusher on there. That's been around for a while. I even remember Sam bats and the redo crusher. What a nice gesture on his part. Great ambassador for the game of baseball. That child will remember that moment for the rest of his life. What a cool thing. And look at this relationship. I mean, these are the things that you pick up on. Talking to his manager right there, gets a little pat on the back.
And that's where he took the bat over and handed it to the fan.
Right.
No swing. JT Riddle is up. Riddle has singled twice and has doubled. Brad Peacock is the new pitcher for the Astros.
You saw the numbers. 1.26 ERA. Another one of the power arms out of that Astros bullpen. Fastball, slider. So well, why would they bring Brad Peacock in to face Riddle and the lefties? Well, lefties are 1 for 18 against him on the season.
Riddle to left. Reddick has it. And here comes Tyler Moore. Tyler Moore certainly enjoyed his Mother's Day yesterday.
I enjoyed his Mother's Day yesterday. I think you enjoyed it too, I hope.
Absolutely. He made everybody's Mother's Day a little brighter around
Sure
here
did.
with his 3-run homer against R.A. Dickey in the bottom of the 7th. And erased a 1-0 Atlanta lead. Gave the Marlins a 3-1 lead. Miami won the ball game 3-1. Of course, the intriguing thing there was he was 3 for 5 with a homer against Dickey. Wasn't in the lineup. You thought maybe he's got a chance to face him late. And Brian Snitker of the Braves had a pair of relievers up and
Lefty
ready.
and a righty, ready to go. Yeah.
They had warmed up, and it seemed like they were up for that very reason. But he stayed with Dickey, and that first pitch knuckleball, Moore blasted it to left. And Peacock misses outside.
Now how this game has changed. Dan Straily absolutely brilliant through 5 innings. Surrendered a hit, took a line drive off the forearm.
Moore can't check his swing, and he strikes out, and Peacock has 2 outs here in the ninth.
Certainly has changed the flow of this game, and certainly the action in this game. As the Houston Astros sprung to life as soon as Dan Straily got out of there.
D. Gordon now is 1 for 4. And that's going to be a base hit. Down the line it goes. Reddick over to get it. D's around first. Reddick, a good outfielder, a Gold Glove winner. And D will have his 2nd hit of the night.
Good to see D. Gordon get a multi-hit game tonight. Jumps on a first pitch fastball right there. Said it before, I'll say it again. I watched him hit an entire 10 minutes of batting practice today and did not hit a baseball to the left side of shortstop. Every ball was deliberately hit. Again, he was trying to hit it hard, but using those hands and staying inside the baseball, and he picks up a couple hits that way tonight.
He's hit the ball hard tonight. He's lined out a couple times, bounced into a double play. Yelich takes down low. Gordon takes 2nd. That won't be a stolen base. Defensive indifference. Well, Yelich knocked in the first run of the night in the 5th. That was after Straily had been hit by the line drive. Straily finished that 5th inning and actually came to the plate in the bottom of the 5th and delivered a very nice sacrifice bunt.
Marlins down to their last strike.
That was called inside. Gaddis held it. Count 2-2. Let's Fox track it. Great eye by Yelich. Yelich, as you'll learn and we've learned, is right about 95+% of the time when it comes to taking a close pitch.
He knows his strike zone, and he knows his way around the strike zone. That's why at times when you see him give that look back at an umpire, and I think I've even said this on air, I know that Christian's right more times than the umpire is.
He's had that pitch tracking chip embedded.
Yes, he has.
3-2 from Peacock. Fastball, little tapper out towards Altuve. He flips to first. And the Houston Astros didn't get much sleep last night, but it didn't show up in the box score. Houston 7, Miami 2. Yulieski Gurriel in his second year in the big leagues, and the Cuban, the 32-year-old, hurts the fish with a grand slam and a double. Highlights, clubhouse reaction on Marlins Live next.